Hey everyone, I'm Isaac and welcome back to Isaac Reviews 2024. 5 years ago, we got a film called Joker. It was drastically different from the tentpole superhero films DC usually made, instead being a psychological thriller showcasing the title character's gradual descent into madness. And that seemed to work in its favor, seeing as how it was the first R-rated film to cross the $1 billion mark, and it held the title of the highest grossing R-rated film of all time until this year when it was surpassed by Deadpool and Wolverine. But what did I think of this movie? Was all the hype warranted? Yeah, I honestly thought it was pretty good. Sure, it's quite a depressing watch given the story and subject matter, but it's very well made regardless, with an excellent performance from Joaquin Phoenix and production values that do a stellar job reflecting the time period of the film. So what do you get when you cross this more introspective take on DC's most iconic villain with a $1 billion blockbuster hit? You get a sequel, and that's what I'll be talking about today with Joker Folie. To be honest, I don't think the first Joker really needed a sequel. I thought it ended well enough with Arthur Fleck having succumbed to his insanity, so I don't think that really needed to be expanded upon. But I guess Warner Brothers saw potential in giving Joker a franchise, so they announced a sequel with Lady Gaga of all people as Harley Quinn. Now, I was willing to give this movie the benefit of the doubt, seeing as how most of the original cast and crew were returning to do it, and I was interested in seeing how they might try to continue the story they set up before. But then the reviews started rolling in, and things were not looking good. Critics hated it, audiences hated it, most people were agreeing that this movie sucked, so it was becoming a bit hard for me to keep an open mind. Regardless, I went out and saw it anyway, and wow, what a sick joke this movie was. It takes place about 2 years after the first film, where Arthur Fleck, aka the Joker, is in prison for all the murders he committed. His highly publicized murder trial is due to happen in a few days, but during this time he meets a woman named Lee Quinzel at a music class in the prison, and the two quickly fall in love, with this movie exploring their relationship and how it'll affect this massive trial. I guess I'll start with what I liked about Folie, as it did have a handful of redeeming qualities, one of the most notable of which, in my opinion, would be the performances. Well, to an extent anyway. Most of the side actors were fine, even if the movie's underutilization of Zazie Beetz was downright criminal, and as for Joaquin Phoenix, well, I don't know. I'd say his performance was good, but it mostly felt the same as it was in the 2019 film, which was good, don't get me wrong, but I wish he could have done more to play into the character's insanity. As for Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn, well, I'll get to her eventually, but let's just say that I'm not gonna be as forgiving towards her even if she's a good singer. Additionally, the movie had some solid production values. There was some nice looking shot composition, the sets and costumes were well designed, and the score was really good. I also want to bring up the opening scene, which had 2D animation in the style of the Looney Tunes. Now yes, it's a bit of a shocker that Warner Brothers would include such a scene given how much contempt they have for the medium of animation nowadays, but it was honestly really cool, and I wish the rest of the film could have kept that tone. But that's as much praise as I'm willing to give Joker Folie. Even if it looked nice and had some good acting, the writing couldn't carry a tune to save its life. It tries to juggle being a musical, a courtroom drama, and a prison drama all at the same time, but it really doesn't work in its favor. Instead, it makes the film feel convoluted and like it couldn't figure out what it wants to do with itself or the characters. Does it want us to sympathize with Arthur given how obviously damaged he is? Does it want us not to sympathize with him because he's insane? I don't know, and neither does this movie. It also drops the ball with his and Harley Quinn's relationship. Anytime it sets up something interesting with them, it immediately skips to the next scene without having any time to breathe, and the rest of their scenes together don't feel like they move the story forward in a meaningful way. The same thing can be said about the musical numbers. Now, I'll admit, having this movie be a musical did pique my interest at first, and the cinematography and production design during these scenes was outstanding. But considering how often they happen and how little they end up impacting the story, the novelty wears off very fast. And I'm not gonna lie, the ending was really bad. I'll try not to go too in-depth on it due to spoilers, but suffice to say, it was really stupid, out of nowhere, and all around unsatisfying as a conclusion. But the biggest sin of Joker Folie outside of the writing would be how they did Harley Quinn, because like I hinted at earlier, man did they do her dirty. Again, Lady Gaga is a talented singer, but her performance was so flat and lifeless, which is not what you want in Harley Quinn. When I think of the character, she's eccentric, unpredictable, larger than life, and full of energy. All of that was not present with this one, however. She doesn't have any charm or charisma, and she instead feels like some random chick who happens to have fallen in love with the Joker. She's not even that hot compared to most of her other interpretations. Okay, maybe that last point isn't as big a deal compared to her characterization, but my point still stands. Compared to all the other interpretations of the character that we've gotten over the years, this is a disservice to Harleen Quinzel and everything she represents as a character. Hashtag not my Harley. Well, I don't have anything else to say here, so in conclusion, Joker Folie Adieu was a sequel that didn't need to exist, and the end result absolutely justifies the negative reception it's been getting. It may have had some decent production values, and it may have had a handful of good performances, but that was unable to save the terrible writing, woeful characterizations, tedious pacing, and unnecessary musical numbers. If you liked the first Joker, stick with that one. If you didn't like the first Joker, that's all the more reason to not watch this one. Either way, you won't be missing anything if you skip it. As for me, I'm gonna be giving this movie what it f***ing deserves, a 3 out of 10. Next time, I'll be doing something a little different. I'll be doing a video on Whitebird, but my review will also double as a video essay on its nightmarish production and ungodly long delays. If you're excited for that video and you want to see more like it, then consider subscribing to the Isaac Carthy channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all later.